Be honest, you probably dreamed about how awesome it'd be to learn anything instantly, like snapping your fingers and boom, you've got it. Maybe you wanted to learn how to do a flip to show off at school and catch your 6th grade crush's attention. Or maybe it was learning guitar, piano, random skills like running faster, jumping higher, or even that viral dance move from 2016. Basically anything to be the cool kid everyone noticed. Now, as teenagers and young adults, what we want to learn might be a lot different. Usually we want something that will benefit us in the long run, something along the lines of business, language, tech, or sports. The problem is, most of us are terrible at learning efficiently. It's not our fault, really. Schools taught us to memorize facts for a test and then forget them the moment the bell rang. Well, memorization isn't learning after all, so it makes sense. Learning is about understanding, applying, and retaining information so well that it feels like second nature. Think back to when you last tried to learn something. Maybe it was a new language, a musical instrument, or a skill like coding. What did you do? Chances are you crammed, you read a lot, or you watched a ton of tutorials. And then nothing stuck. Why? Because most of us focus on input, reading, watching, listening, when we should be focusing on output, doing, practicing, and teaching. It's like trying to learn how to swim by reading a book about swimming. You might know the theory, but the first time you hit the water, you're going to sink. Learning is mainly a contact sport. You have to get your hands dirty, or in this case, wet. Let me just clear this up before we continue. Not everything is equally important. The 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle, states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. When it comes to learning, this means you should focus on the core principles that give you the biggest return. You want to learn a new language? Don't even think about memorizing 10,000 words. Instead, learn the 1,000 most commonly used ones. They make up 80% of everyday conversations already. Want to play guitar? Master the basic chords before diving into complex solos. In simple terms, once you've got the essentials down, everything else becomes easier. And one technique that can help you master these essentials faster is active recall. Basically, instead of passively reviewing information, you actively test yourself. Not necessarily new, but it's very useful, especially when preparing for an exam. Let's say you're trying to learn history. Instead of rereading the same paragraph about World War II for the 10th time, close the book and try to recall what you just read. It forces your brain to work harder, which in return strengthens your memory. Think of it like lifting weights, but for your brain. If you just stare at the dumbbells, you're not going to get stronger. You're going to have to pick them up and do the work. But that doesn't necessarily mean you should start overloading your brain. Cramming feels productive in the moment, but it's a short-term solution. The spacing effect, on the other hand, is a long-term game. This principle states that you learn better when you spread out your study sessions over time, ideally 30 to 60 minutes a day throughout the week if possible. Here's why. Every time you have to revisit a topic, your brain has to dig it out of your storage. The more times you do this, the stronger the connection becomes. It's like carving a path in the woods. The first time through, it's rough and overgrown. But with each pass, the path becomes clearer, and eventually easier to navigate. So instead of studying for 6 hours straight, break it into 6 one-hour sessions over a week. Your brain and your sanity will thank you. However, as I mentioned previously, you need to get your hands dirty or whatever in order to learn something effectively. And that's exactly why Brilliant, the sponsor of today's video, is worth talking about. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform that actually helps you understand stuff by making you solve problems, experiment, and practice as you go, with thousands of lessons in programming, data analysis, AI, and math, all designed to help you learn faster and smarter. The lessons are built by experts from places like MIT, Google, Microsoft, and more, so you know you're learning from the best. What I really enjoyed about Brilliant is that you're actually dragging, dropping, solving, and testing things from the get-go, a method proven to be 6 times more effective, by the way. Plus, with their sleek mobile app, I'm able to access these lessons anywhere, no matter how much time I have. And yes, it's way more satisfying than staring at a textbook and hoping for the best. Their data analysis courses, for example, are perfect if you're curious about spotting trends or making sense of real-world data from places like Spotify or Airbnb. Or if coding's your thing, their Python lessons let you start building projects on day one. It's practical, useful, and, you guessed it, faster. So if you're like me who appreciates hands-on learning, head over to brilliant.org/someunfilteredguy or scan the QR code you see on your screens. You'll get 30 days of Brilliant for free, plus 20% off an annual subscription in case you get fired up and decide to, well, get Brilliant. Once again, thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. Okay, so remember the swimming analogy. This is where it really comes into play. If you want to learn faster, you need to practice. But not just any practice. Deliberate practice. Deliberate practice means focusing on the areas where you're weakest, not just coasting through what you already know. It's uncomfortable, sure, but that's where the growth happens. For example, if you're learning to draw, don't just sketch the same anime character 69 times. Instead, challenge yourself to draw hands, faces, perspectives, or whatever you find hardest. It'll be frustrating at first, but you'll improve much faster that way. Another unpopular way that will significantly help you learn faster is to teach it. It sounds counterintuitive, I know. How can you teach what you don't fully understand? But that's the point. You see, when you teach, you're forced to organize your thoughts and explain concepts clearly. This deepens your understanding and highlights any gaps in your knowledge. Plus, if the person you're teaching asks questions, it pushes you to think critically and problem solve. You obviously don't have to get someone to sit and watch you stutter for hours. Just set up your phone camera, record yourself, and pretend that you're going to be uploading it on YouTube. That way, you'll think to yourself that hundreds of thousands of people might see your video and, well, encourage you to understand what you're teaching even more. It's like the old saying, you don't really know something until you can explain it to a 5-year-old. On the other hand, engaging your other senses is another great way to truly understand something and make it second nature. Your brain loves variety. The more senses you involve in the learning process, the better you'll retain information. For instance, say you're learning Spanish. Don't just read the words. Listen to native speakers around you, watch Spanish YouTube channels, documentaries, etc. Then write them down and speak them out loud. The combination of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic inputs creates stronger neural connections. Just like building a house. The more materials you use, the sturdier it'll be. Well, most of the time. That said, learning doesn't have to be boring. In fact, the more fun you have, the faster you'll learn. Set small, achievable goals and reward yourself when you hit them. Turn challenges into games, compete with a friend, use apps that track your progress and give you virtual badges. It might sound casual, but your brain thrives on dopamine. Every time you achieve something, no matter how big or small, it releases a little shot of this feel-good chemical, which motivates you to keep going. And although I said you can use apps that gives you virtual badges for achieving goals, that can also lead you to, well, switching to TikTok or YouTube the second you lose focus. That's why, in order to keep the momentum going, you might want to try putting your phone on silent or closing unnecessary tabs and creating a distraction-free environment. Multitasking might make you feel productive, but it's kind of BS. Your brain can only focus on one thing at a time. So instead of half reading a book while scrolling Instagram, try to give your full attention to the task at hand. But here's where we need to start glazing the proper sleep and enough rest. Both are just as important as effort. Your brain needs time to process and consolidate information, and the best way to do that is through sleep. During sleep, your brain organizes everything you've learned, strengthening connections, and clearing out unnecessary informations. So if you're pulling all-nighters to cram, you're actually sabotaging yourself. Taking regular breaks during study sessions can boost your productivity too. Our brain, just like our muscles, it needs time to recover after intense use. And since we're already here, let's talk about mindset. If you believe you're bad at learning, you'll struggle. Obviously so. But if you adopt a growth mindset, the belief that you can improve with effort, you'll be amazed at what you can achieve. Instead of thinking, I can't do this, try saying, I can't do this yet. That one little word makes a world of difference. It shifts your focus from failure to potential. And most importantly, enjoy the process. Because at the end of the day, learning is not all about acquiring new skills. It's about you growing as a person. And that is pretty simple, actually.